welcome back to my YouTube channel, because spreading the goodness will create good vibes. Today we're going to talk about the tips to answer IELTS question. I invite my friend Stephen Keen, who is working as an English teacher in Melbourne, and he will give you tips to answer IELTS. Check it out! Jadi hari ini kita bakalan ngobrol seputar tips untuk menjawab pertanyaan-pertanyaan di IELTS. Nah, itu dia ada Stephen-nya. Okay, we will start now, alright? True that repetitive words that we use in writing task 1 and writing task 2 will reduce our overall score.
Oh, that's better. You should be the question asker. Okay. Okay. Yes. To be sure. Basically, because we are looking, or IELTS examiners are looking for your range of vocabulary. So it's not so much that you lose points as such. You're just not going to get a higher score, right? So the more range of vocabulary you can use, the higher your score will be. It's not that they take points off. It's that they don't give you the points to get, right? So if you want to get 7, 9, right, you need to have a broad range of vocabulary. So usually that is by using a lot of synonyms. So how can you develop synonyms? You need to be able to use thesaurus. So did I write that? Thesaurus.com. Yeah, use a good thesaurus. Even thesaurus.com can help you to develop the range of vocabulary that you need, because you don't want to just be repeating the same word over and over again. The thesaurus will develop on it.
Yeah. So
you have to make sure that you know what it means. That's the tricky part about synonyms, is that you don't just say, oh, the dictionary says this is a synonym, and then you throw it into the text, and you're not really sure that has the same meaning, because they might have a close meaning, but in the context not have the same. So if you get it from thesaurus, then you also need to go back to the dictionary and check the context that it's used and example sentences.
So actually, Widijasa is my previous IELTS teacher last time, but she's now is going to apply Australia Award Scholarship, since I'm like giving motivation for students or people who are likely to get the Australia Award Scholarship. So she also part of my group that is now learning how to apply scholarship. So she said that this is a questions that frequently asked by her students, Indonesian. So she said she wants to get clarifications from you. Also, there is from Yani Hari. Considering the time, can we get and answer the questions later on? Good questions though. So this live, if I can put in my Instagram, or I can save in my phone, I'm going to put it in my YouTube channel, Anggie Subijanto, as I'm now making some videos to motivate and introducing how to apply Australia Award Scholarships. So it's going to be part of it. So you can access in my YouTube channel later on. I hope it can be safe. So we say it again. This is another question. How can we be sure that we have written enough words in writing task 1 for 150 words and writing task 2 for 250 words? Because I heard that we are not allowed to use watch during the exam. But there is clock. They will have one
Yeah,
clock
there's a
on
clock.
the in the class, right? That we are stick on the same time.
Yes, that's right. There's always a clock.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're worried about sticking to the time, then you use a clock. Yeah, the word limits basically as in 50 words and 250 words. So you're wanting to aim to get part 1 completed within 20 minutes. It's pretty fast, but that's kind of when you need to move on to part 2. So 20 minutes for part 1 and 40 minutes for part 2, so that you have enough time. You should be able to use some of that time, even short time. You need to try to get in the habit of spending at least 5 minutes at the beginning of that to actually plan out what you're going to write, to make some brief notes about what. Obviously, you don't really want to count through every single word that you've written, but scan along, see how many you write to one average line. Maybe it's your average writing is maybe 10 or 11 words to one line, and then just count how many lines you've written. Just want to get a rough estimate.
Maybe for based on my experience, can I share too?
Sure.
So, based on my experience, when I read the questions, when the examiner give us the time to see the questions, directly I see the questions, I will see which one is the better one. I mean, the easiest one. Because I'm gonna be emphasized in my writing too, because it's gonna be contribute more score than writing task 1. So I will try to make the pattern first, which position I'm going to be, and what kind of the vocabularies that I'm going to use. So after that, I try to elaborate and improve my sentences to explaining about my positions. So from your points that you explained to us just now, it's begin with introduction. For example, say that the paragraph is about a graph or something that asking advantages or disadvantages. So I'm going to put my position first, which in which position, like for example, oh, this is advantages. Study abroad is giving advantages more to a person to having a brightest endeavor. So I would say something like that. I don't know. Since you're the English teacher. Yeah. Okay. So there is before we go to another band, we still have we have 30 minutes to just talking about writing since we only have 1 hour. Because I know that in Instagram Live they have only 1 hour session. I hope we can include all the band. We will go back to Miss Widi questions. However, we need to also discuss about reading, reading, listening, and speaking.
I don't have too much to say about reading.
That's okay.
As I said at the beginning, if you want to improve reading, you need to read more. I mean, that is obviously the biggest thing. The biggest thing related to reading is probably vocabulary and vocabulary is improved by reading more. Very, very hand in hand. And that's quite advantageous because when you learn vocabulary from the reading, it's a very natural approach, right? When we are native speakers and we are children learning to read, we don't just learn big lists of words. We learn words, usually first by listening and speaking, but when we come to reading, it's also from the context, right? So you don't just have a random list of words and you have to try and guess the meaning, but learning vocabulary through context, and we can understand new words from using those contexts to help us. And of course, a lot of the reading skills are testing your understanding based on using context of vocabulary is one of the skills you're being tested on. So, read a lot more, and read not just novels, although that's good. You should enjoy reading is something that can help you, encourage you to study, is to do some reading of something you enjoy, pleasure. But read academic topics as well. And if you are interested in business, then you can study business academic text. But maybe you're not interested in business, so try to focus more on something else, learning about the environment or learning about technology. Of course, those broad topics that are coming up in IELTS all the time. So things like education, environment, technology, business, all those kinds of things that you need to read a lot of academic texts. The other thing I noted down that you should do is to try to summarize what you read. So as a way to improve your reading is after you read something, actually try and write down what it was about. So write a short summary without looking at the text. And after you've written it, then you'll probably quickly realize you've missed something. And after you've written it, then you can go back and see, okay, what did I actually miss from that? The other thing is that you can sort of look for some main points in a text, highlight them, and then try to put that into your own words as well. So by doing that, by summarizing, you are trying to use your own words to describe something. You're trying to naturally come up with some synonyms, trying to naturally reword it. Going to improve your writing as well as improving your reading. Just say about reading at the moment.
Yeah, I just want to add your points that in my experience, when I read, at the first time I read, it takes so long time. So when I did exercise, I increased time for speeding. So it's not only skimming and scanning, but also I'm directly try to put myself into the paragraphs. So what type of paragraph is the writer trying to tell us? And then in the reading, I'm going to just like scanning the topics or the keywords that is gonna be the questions. So I just read it like very short, and then start to read in the paragraph and try to pick up the key topics. Also, speeding. You know, when you do the reading a lot more, it's gonna be better. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah.
You brought up a couple of good points. Of course, you need to develop, one of the biggest skills you need to develop for reading is the skimming and the scanning. So usually people who are just learning to read in a second language, or particularly English, they will at the beginning and then just read through and then they'll get like halfway through and then give up or something, but really struggling through. It's better when you come to the text, first of all, look at any graphics or pictures that are given to you to give yourself an idea what's it about. Look at the heading, make sure you understand the heading is introducing what. Does it have a subheading? Read that and clearly understand it. After you've done that, you really want to scan the text. Sorry, I'll say that again. Skim the text. Now, you skim it before you look at your questions. So skimming should only take you about 1 minute. Now, obviously, you can't read the whole text in 1 minute. Even a native speaker won't read everything in 1 minute. But that's not skimming. Skimming is just getting the main ideas very quickly. So where are they? In most cases, the topic sentence, the first sentence of each paragraph. So you would read one paragraph, you just read first sentence, then you jump down to, and you go, okay, I get that's what that paragraph's about. Read the topic sentence of the next paragraph. Okay, I got what that's about, and so on, so on, so on. Just so you're just quickly getting an overall picture of the article before you read it. It's at that stage that you actually go, after you've done that in your first minute, maybe 2 minutes at the most, then you can look at your past questions, read your questions, and actually you start to scan for the answers. So scanning is actually looking for specific information. Okay, so you are looking for answers. If you've already had a quick skim through the text, then you know which paragraphs are talking about which part, right? For example, just like we just talked about writing, it has an introduction and talks about advantages, then it talks about disadvantages, and it has a conclusion. So if one of my questions asks for something about advantage of something, then I know to just jump back into paragraph 2, or we know where to find it. If you read everything first, some of it may not be in your questions. If you go straight to the questions first, you it in the text. That's why that just a very quick 2 minutes to skim through the main points of the thing, text, can help you to, when you look at the questions, you know where to look for the answers. You don't have to understand every word in the text. That's the good news, right? To understand and answer the IELTS questions, you don't have to understand every single word, and don't panic. But going back to improving your reading, if you are a low level in IELTS, maybe you're only like about a 4 or 5. Maybe you should be reading something easier than IELTS text first, because IELTS text is like a 8 or 9, right? So it's for a native speaker. So you need to actually build up your reading by starting with something that's not going to go, oh no, it's too hard. You don't want to scare yourself. So give yourself something a bit easier to read first. Look for some articles online that are designed for your level, or some, so textbooks that are designed for slightly lower level. Introduction, Get ready for IELTS, and other ones that are not quite up to that higher level.
Yeah. So we need to. Okay, I will be the timekeeper here. So that's all for today. The tips to answer IELTS questions. If you feel this video very useful for you, you can give like, share, comment, and subscribe. So thank you for watching everyone, and thank you for subscribing my channel. See you. Bye.